Joe Biden claims that he just needs more sleep as he continues to oversee the debacle in Afghanistan. Portland, Oregon police unveil a new public safety campaign, plus a Pennsylvania school board votes to ban critical race theory. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Joe Biden, and I'm just wondering what people are thinking. In particular, all of those people who voted for Biden because former President Trump was just too mean. He put out mean tweets. So, what are they thinking now? Because issue after issue after issue, Biden has shown that he's not up to the job. Just look at this past week. Afghanistan is collapsing, and he went on a vacation. He came back on Monday. He gave a speech where he said the buck stops here, but spent most of that speech blaming Afghanistan. In other comments, he's also blamed former President Trump. Then, immediately after that speech, he left town again, back on vacation. He came back, had a sit-down interview with George Stephanopoulos over at ABC News. I'll go over some of those comments in just a bit, but for now, Biden is off on another long weekend. Friends, it's clear he can't do the job. His leadership skills are non-existent, and he is becoming more and more forgetful. However, one of the main things on Biden's mind is his desire to get out of town so he can get more sleep. And here's the story. According to a new report from conservative journalist Jack Posobiec, President Joe Biden is not sleeping well and wants to go home to Delaware after taking a separate vacation last weekend. Biden telling staff he wants to go back to Delaware, hasn't been sleeping well all this week, thinks he will be more functional if he stays over at home in Wilmington, Posobiec reported. Just an hour after Posobiec dropped this tweet, WMAL News reported that Biden would in fact be going home to Wilmington, Delaware for a long weekend. This is unreal. Rather than doing his job, he has spent most of the week away from the White House, while thousands of Americans remain trapped in Afghanistan. On Thursday, Biden's calendar was completely cleared. No public or press events. In addition, there was no White House press briefing either. Nothing. Perhaps the reason is that when he does speak, he sounds worse than when he doesn't. His Monday speech was terrible, but then the ABC News interview on Wednesday really took the prize. Here's Biden.
Back in July, you said a Taliban takeover was highly unlikely. Was the intelligence wrong, or did you downplay it?
I think there was no consensus. If you go back and look at the intelligence reports, they said that it was more likely to be sometime by the end of the year.
You didn't put a timeline out when you said it was highly unlikely. You just said flat out it's highly unlikely the Taliban would take over.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely the Taliban will take over. How long did it take? A week? Then there's this exchange where Stephanopoulos talks about the situation at the Kabul airport.
We've all seen the pictures. We've seen those hundreds of people packed into a C-17. We've seen Afghans falling.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
What did you think when you first saw those pictures?
What I thought was we have to gain control of this. We have to move this more quickly. We have to move in a way in which we can take control of that airport. And we did.
Stephanopoulos talks about the human tragedy of people falling to their deaths from an airplane. And what's Biden's response? That was 4 or 5 days ago. First of all, it wasn't. It was all happening this week. Second, that's his response? Nothing about the lives lost, the frightening conditions? Nope. That was 4 or 5 days ago. And then Biden was asked if things could have been handled better.
So you don't think this could have been handled, this actually could have been handled better in any way? No mistakes?
No, I don't think it could have been handled in a way that we're going to go back in hindsight and look, but the idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out without chaos ensuing, I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that happened.
So for you, that was always priced into the decision?
Yes.
Just stunning. Biden is saying that that was the best America could do. The Biden team knew there would be this situation, and they were fine with it. People are being killed. People are being terrorized. Thousands of Americans are trapped, and Biden says, this is the best we can do. So, is it any wonder that they have gone quiet? Is it any wonder that Biden has taken off to get some sleep? Friends, we need a real president, someone who can handle the job. Biden is showing that he clearly can't. All right, so next let's talk about the Portland Police Department. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Okay, so next let's talk about the Portland Police Department. And have you ever noticed that whatever the radical left touches turns to, well, it's not good. They sink their teeth into education and education crumbles. They take over the media and now public distrust is at an all-time high. And then, how about the defund the police movement? Except for Joe Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal plan, I've never seen a policy fail as badly as the defund the police movement. One of the cities to get hit hard by the radical left is Portland, Oregon. Now, in order to draw attention to the worsening situation, the police union has come up with a campaign to which the residents of Portland can easily relate. Do you feel safe? And here's the story. Do you feel safe in Portland? Reads a billboard erected this month in Oregon's largest city. It's part of a police union campaign urging city leaders to roll back recent police department budget cuts as local shopkeepers, frustrated by rampant street crime and a 327% spike in homicides, are hiring private security guards to restore order. We desperately need city leaders to take action, fund and staff our police bureau, and put politics aside and public safety first, says Daryl Turner, executive director of the Portland Police Association. So, how bad are things in Portland? The city has more than 654,000 residents with 917 police positions, of which there are nearly 100 open positions. Contrast those numbers with Baltimore, which has about 50,000 fewer residents, but has a police force of 2,500 officers. The annual budget continues to decline in Portland, and what are the results? You guessed it, rising crime. The initiative comes as city data show homicides up sharply from 11 in the first 6 months of 2020 to 47 this year. Homicides have gone up steadily in recent years, from 25 in 2017, 26 in 2018, and 36 in 2019 to 57 last year as the city dealt first with the pandemic lockdown and then the explosion of anti-police protests. Data also show there have been 567 shootings halfway into this year, more than double the 262 recorded during the same period in 2020. My question is this: what do those defund the police radical leftists expect? Do they really think that crime would go down? Instead, police officers are leaving left and right, morale is collapsing, and crime is going up. And in the meantime, these cities keep electing incompetent mayors and city council members. Portland has Mayor Ted Wheeler. He's the one who tried to have a listening session with Antifa rioters and ended up going home after being called names and getting pelted with objects. His situation is dire, but even under the current conditions, there are some leftists who still don't get it. Last month, after a deadly Saturday in which 7 people were shot and 1 person died, Mayor Ted Wheeler vowed to rally for more badges. I will fight for additional resources for the police bureau. I will fight for more police officers, and I will fight for more tools and whatever other support the police bureau needs in order to get its job done, he said during a virtual press conference. Portland City Council Commissioner Joanne Hardesty, however, said she could not in good conscience add more officers to a dysfunctional police force, KOIN 6 News reported. So that's what's happening in Portland, and it's also happening in cities around the country. Crime keeps spiking, and the left blame the police. All right, so next, to show you that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that conservatives can fight back and win against the radical left, a school board in Pennsylvania just voted to ban the teaching of critical race theory in classrooms. We see so many reports of left-wing school boards and teachers pushing critical race theory, which seeks to divide people based on race. It's everywhere, even in our military. So it's nice to see examples where school boards are doing the right thing. And here's the story. The Mars Area School District, just outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, has voted to prohibit the teaching of critical race theory in classrooms, according to multiple news outlets. The board voted unanimously Tuesday night to approve a patriotism amendment to the district's mission statement, WESA Radio reported. The action prohibits teaching concepts that cause people to feel guilt or anguish to persons solely because of their race, sex, or religion, and affirms that the district will not indoctrinate students in a single social or political ideology or theory, and bans teaching of social theories, for example, the 1619 Project or critical race theory, and conspiracy theories, for example, Holocaust denial theory, unless approved by the school board, the Cranberry Eagle newspaper said. This is great stuff. I was just at a briefing this week regarding a poorly performing school district in the Houston area that I'm likely going to start working with. These kids are struggling with basic reading, writing, and math skills. And it just reminds me that too many times in schools across the country, we see an emphasis being placed on woke left-wing indoctrination rather than a focus on the basics, or what I call the essentials: reading, writing, math. It's so nice that not all school districts are falling for the leftist agenda. And here's more. In addition, school board members also mandated that all district buildings and classrooms display the American flag. WESA reported that school board member Dale Ferguson said, "Patriotism is not controversial, period." The radio station said critical race theory, which claims racism in the U.S. is systemic rather than an individual issue, is not even being taught in the district. The school board voted 7-0 in favor of the policy. See, even when the school board votes to stand up for patriotism, this radio station brings out the left-wing talking point that it's not even being taught. Fortunately, concerned parents know better. Okay, so we had Joe Biden, who is now literally complaining about being sleepy. We have the fallout from the defunding the police movement, and we have the leftist embrace of critical race theory. We need to ask these folks, do you have a relaxed brain?
I got what you call, a relaxed brain.
Okay, so here's another story of wokeness, this time with the Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine. You know how the left now says that men can give birth? This is carried over to the Biden administration, which uses the phrase birthing people instead of mothers in their 2022 budget proposal. Now, a medical organization is jumping on the bandwagon. A worldwide organization of doctors called the Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine urged the use of gender-inclusive language such as chest feeding, parent's milk, and human milk feeding in new guidelines. ABM recognizes that not all people who give birth and lactate identify as female, and that some of these individuals identify as neither female nor male, the organization said in a document. The guidance comes after President Biden's administration used the phrase birthing people instead of mothers in a 2022 budget proposal, and other medical groups, Democrat politicians, and universities employ such language. It's just ridiculous, and that's why it made it into this week's Relaxed Brain. So next, speaking of Relaxed Brain, we have left-wing filmmaker Michael Moore, who decided to be clever on Twitter by tweeting this. Their Taliban, our Taliban. Everybody's got a Taliban. They're at their best when they confiscate the halls of power. What an idiot. Let's ask the women of Afghanistan who they'd rather spend time with. People like Michael Moore are so out of touch with reality, but that never seems to stop them from posting stuff like that. Now, here are some breaking news headlines from the Babylon Bee, and we'll start with a warning from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC goes to Afghanistan to warn refugees not to come to oppressive, racist America. AOC can be lumped right in there with Michael Moore. And then, just like Joe Biden, we have another claim of old news. Come on, man. That was 4 or 5 days ago, says serial killer to police. And then we have this headline because, as Joe Biden says, the buck stops here. Biden demands whoever the president is take full responsibility for this mess. I love it. We'll see what Joe Biden says next week after he's fully rested. All right, friends, that's our show for today. But don't forget, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. Our next show is tomorrow with our Saturday live stream. The show starts at 11 a.m. Central Time, and our special guest is congressional correspondent for the Epic Times, Mark Tapscott. Mark is a journalism veteran, and we're going to dive into the major issues and how the media coverage has changed over time. Once again, that's our Saturday live stream at 11 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.